Below the abdomen were 4 claws, and the entire body was covered with thick dragon scales. The golden dragon eyes were filled with a majestic aura, and the powerful dragon might spread out, causing the soul beasts in the sunset forest to cry out uneasily. Even Dugu-bo couldn't help but furrow his brows at the heavy aura. Although Dugu-bo had anticipated the formidable power of the trio's martial soul fusion technique, he hadn't expected them to be able to summon such a golden giant dragon. Golden lightning surrounded Luo Sanpao's body, and Luo Sanpao shone brightly, floating in the air like a golden sun. Could this be the legendary dragon clan, the sacred dragon? Dugu-bo felt somewhat apprehensive. Although Luo Sanpao didn't have any sacred aura, Dugu-bo knew that only the most powerful sacred dragons in the dragon clan would have a golden body. Flender and Lu Erlong still had their eyes closed, completely unaware of the outside world. They had even turned into 2 golden light spheres. So what if it's a sacred dragon? The arrogance in Dugu-bo's heart was fully aroused by Luo Sanpao before him. A sharp, piercing cry came from his mouth, and emerald green light burst out from his body. His body expanded with the wind, and the first 7 soul rings lit up simultaneously. Then, his tall, thin body began to swell continuously within the emerald light, soaring upwards. The diamond-shaped green scales looked like pieces of inlaid jade. The human body had disappeared, and Dugu-bo had transformed into a massive emerald green serpent. His transformation speed was clearly faster than Luo Sanpao's, and in the blink of an eye, his body had surpassed Luo Sanpao's, reaching 30 meters in length and as thick as a water barrel. Most of the snake's body stood upright, confronting Luo Sanpao head-on. 2 giant green eyes stared coldly at Luo Sanpao, the snake's tongue flickering as thick green mist surrounded its body. This was Dugu-bo's martial soul true form, the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor. What Dugu Yen had inherited was Dugu-bo's martial soul, the Jade Phosphor Serpent. Having reached the level of title Dolua, Dugu-bo's martial soul true form was far beyond what a 70th level soul saint could match. The Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor's scales flared outward, its cold gaze fixed firmly on Luo Sanpao. Luo Sanpao's body seemed to have completely transformed. With a roar towards the sky, it spread its wings and opened its mouth wide, a golden lightning bolt directly blasting towards Dugu-bo. The Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor, which Dugu-bo had transformed into, did not dodge. Instead, it opened its mouth and spat out a green mist. 9 soul rings circled its massive body. Lowering its head, it used its body to withstand Luo Sanpao's attack. With a loud explosion, golden lightning spread from the head to the tail of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor, causing its massive body to stiffen momentarily. However, it was only momentarily. Luo Sanpao spread its wings and leaped back quietly, simultaneously spraying a golden breath from its mouth to collide with the green mist from the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor. At this moment, the opponent Dugu-bo faced was Luo Sanpao, controlled by the Grandmaster. Once the Golden Iron Triangle's martial soul fusion technique was activated, the Flying Horn Flender provided the flying ability and his own soul power, the Slaughtering Horn Lu Erlong provided the dragon body, and the Grandmaster provided Luo Sanpao as the host, along with his wisdom. Having completed Luo Sanpao's evolution, Flender and Lu Erlong needed to fully integrate their soul power into the martial soul fusion technique, while Luo Sanpao and the Grandmaster were naturally controlled by the Grandmaster's consciousness, as they were one. Thus, Dugu-bo faced a sacred dragon with the Grandmaster's mind. Of course, Luo Sanpao wasn't a true sacred dragon, but a pseudo-one. The Grandmaster's martial soul mutation caused him to lose the powerful martial soul of the Blue Lightning Tyrant dragon family. However, Luo Sanpao's mutation wasn't towards a lower level, but was supposed to be a higher-level dragon mutation that failed to succeed. Under the Golden Iron Triangle's martial soul fusion technique, the evolution that took place amplified the already evolved bloodline within Luo Sanpao, giving it a temporary partial capability of the sacred dragon. Although the Grandmaster's strength was lacking, his theoretical knowledge was unmatched. Facing the green mist from the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor, he didn't let Luo Sanpao confront it directly. Instead, he spread its wings and retreated, fanning a gust of wind to disperse the green mist. The huge body of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor suddenly moved. Despite its seemingly cumbersome form, it sprang from the ground, chasing after Luo Sanpao with its jaws open. In midair, Luo Sanpao, with its similarly enormous size, shifted sideways to avoid the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor's attack. Its front claws extended, aiming for the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor's vulnerable spot. A fierce battle between dragon and serpent unfolded in the sky. The longer Dugubo fought, the more shocked he became. He discovered that this golden dragon, which resembled a sacred dragon, had an aura that suppressed him. Snakes were a type of dragon, and the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor was close to being a dragon. However, the sacred dragon was the head of all dragons. Even though Luo Sanpao only had some of its aura, it could still exert a certain suppressive effect on the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor. The sacred dragon, also known as the Golden Holy Dragon, naturally had the ability to repel evil, including toxins. Therefore, despite the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor's venom, it couldn't penetrate the golden light within. Dugubo clearly felt that this Golden Holy Dragon's power was obviously weaker than his, but it was much more agile. Without the toxins working, he was at a disadvantage. Moreover, the Golden Holy Dragon's body was extremely flexible, constantly engaging him with its sharp claws. The Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor couldn't fly, giving Luo Sanpao, who was in the air, a distinct aerial advantage. Golden and green lights clashed continuously, causing the entire mountain to tremble. Rocks flew, and dazzling lights filled the air. The intense energy fluctuations scared the surrounding soul beasts away, reminding one of the oppressive aura released by the Titan Giant Ape and Sky Azure Bull Python in the Stardow Forest. Dugubo felt frustrated. He could defeat Luo Sanpao, but his skills were too destructive. If he went all out, he couldn't fully control the outcome, and this mountain was his lair, with the ice and fire yin-yang well inside. Overdoing it could destroy the place, causing irreparable losses. Suddenly, Dugubo had an idea. The key to a martial soul fusion technique was the soul masters themselves. No matter how strong this sacred dragon was, it would disappear if he disrupted the trio's fusion technique. With this thought, Dugubo's massive form shifted slightly, avoiding Luo Sanpao's attack. His snake tail swept out like autumn wind sweeping leaves, aiming at the trio. Even Luo Sanpao's following attack was ignored. A harsh scraping sound came from Dugubo's body as Luo Sanpao's claws created a series of sparks. However, as a titled Doluo, Dugubo's defense wasn't penetrated even by the pseudo-sacred dragon's claws. Dugubo wasn't unscathed. The Golden Holy Dragon's attack contained lightning and fire, two fierce elements. Although the claws didn't pierce his body, the chaotic elements infiltrated his system, causing intense pain and making the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor's body tremble. With a loud bang, the thick snake tail struck the golden pillar formed by the golden iron triangle. However, the golden light pillar didn't shatter as Dugubo had expected. Dugubo felt as if he had struck a mountain. Although the golden light pillar fluctuated violently, the three within remained unharmed. The Golden Holy Dragon Luo Sanpao pounced again, claws gleaming with golden light, while two golden lightning bolts shot from its horns, merging in midair and striking Dugubo. In a mixture of anger and frustration, Dugubo barely managed to dodge, rolling away while spitting out a green bead that released a semicircular green shield around him. Golden and green lights clashed again, scattering intense rays. The Golden Holy Dragon Luo Sanpao was sent flying by the powerful energy rebound, while the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor twisted violently. "Hey you juniors, do you really want to die?" Dugubo was finally enraged. His massive tail lashed the mountain, retracting the surrounding green poison mist into his body. The muscles below the snake's head began to flatten, and the snake's eyes turned a terrifying white, a layer of white light spreading over its head. Although he couldn't use the powerful skills of his last two soul rings without destroying this place, Dugubo, as a titled Doluo, had many hidden techniques. Despite his title of poison, he had other capabilities. Two ghastly white beams shot from the now white eyes of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor, directly targeting Luo Sanpao. The Grandmaster's heart skipped a beat upon seeing the white light. He sensed that it wasn't a skill from Dugu Bo's soul rings. The change in the snake's head indicated a soul bone ability. Among the 6 main soul bones, the head. A titled Dolua truly isn't easy to deal with, and it's no surprise that he possesses soul bones, which ordinary soul masters can only dream of seeing. The master dared not let Luo Sanpao be hit by the eerie white beams. From the opponent's serious stance, it was clear that these white beams were no ordinary attack. Luo Sanpao retracted his dragon wings and plummeted to the ground like a meteor. Simultaneously, his whole body glowed brightly with golden light, and he suddenly flipped in mid-air. A thunderous flatulence, Luo Sanpao. The master called out Luo Sanpao's original soul skill, but under the effect of the golden sacred dragon fusion skill of the golden iron triangle, this technique was far more powerful than before, to the point where Tang San could easily withstand it. A thick golden mist sprayed out from Luo Sanpao's dragon tail, coalescing in mid-air into a golden shield to block the incoming white beams. With a hum, both Luo Sanpao and the master shuddered violently. The instant the golden light clashed with the white beams, it was completely turned white. Then, something even more shocking happened. The shield, now entirely white, underwent a transformation, turning from energy into a solid stone that fell from the sky. The master finally realized what kind of soul bone Dugu Bo had in his head, and he couldn't help but gasp. If his guess was correct, it was a soul bone from one of the top snake-like soul beasts, known as the Medusa, the queen of serpents. Judging by its ability to turn energy into stone, it must have come from a Medusa that had lived for at least 10,000 years. Although Luo Sanpao's shield had blocked the attack, the golden light on his body dimmed significantly due to the energy drain. Inside the golden iron triangle, the master, Flender, and Lu Erlong all experienced intense trembling. Their fusion skill essentially merged their combined strength into Luo Sanpao's body, making him their physical embodiment. The dominating aspect of the skill was that it put them in an invincible state temporarily, making them immune to all attacks and abnormal states unless Luo Sanpao was destroyed or their soul power was exhausted. Because of this, neither the earlier poison cloud nor Dugu Bo's tail attack harmed them. Humph, you dodged once, but can you dodge a second time? The Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor's pale eyes fixated on Luo Sanpao again. Dugu Bo, experienced and knowledgeable, had guessed the effects of the golden iron triangle's fusion skill. Though the golden sacred dragon wasn't weak, the master and his companion's soul power was far below his. At this point, Luo Sanpao wasn't a real threat to him. If titled Dolua were so easily defeated, they wouldn't be the continent's most formidable warriors. A long dragon roar echoed from Luo Sanpao's mouth. The master knew they had to use their ultimate move now, or their energy would soon run out. The Medusa's gaze was too terrifying. One hit could spell the end for Luo Sanpao. Golden light flared again. The master, Flender, and Lu Erlong spat blood simultaneously, which fell onto the circle in the center of their golden triangle formation. Instantly, their blood fused, becoming a point of golden light that shot onto Luo Sanpao. Luo Sanpao spread his dragon wings, not dodging the Serpent Emperor's attack this time. His body ignited with golden flames, roaring ever louder. The flames condensed before him into a transparent dragon shadow, heading straight for the Serpent Emperor. This was the golden sacred dragon's ultimate move, the true form of the sacred dragon. 20 years ago, the master and his companions had managed to complete half of this skill. Now, despite the master's lack of progress, both Flender and Lu Erlong had become soul sages. They finally unleashed this skill for the first time. As the golden dragon shadow flew out, Luo Sanpao rapidly shrank, transforming into a blue-purple light that returned to the master and disappeared. The golden aura around the golden iron triangle also retracted, their golden light dissipating quickly. All three turned pale.
A bastard, je Dugu Boreerd.
The true form of the sacred dragon was one of the most powerful moves of the golden sacred dragon. Even as a pseudo-golden sacred dragon, its power was extraordinary. Medusa's gaze could alter objects and energy, but it had its limits. The sacred dragon's true form, like a shooting star, exceeded those limits. Moreover, Dugubo couldn't dodge it. If he did, the mountain behind him would be flattened, and the ice and fire yin-yang well would be destroyed. Thus, he had to confront it head-on. Dugubo's eighth soul ring glowed, turning his body from emerald green to dark green. He restored his snake head, spitting out the emerald orb from his mouth once more. A strange scene unfolded. The golden iron triangle trio, pale-faced, and the true form of the sacred dragon in the air, all froze in place. Everything around them, even the wind, stopped. Time itself seemed to freeze. The massive body of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor turned transparent and vanished. Dugubo hovered in mid-air, controlling the emerald orb with his right hand, moving it slowly toward the dragon's true form. His eighth soul skill, Time Freeze, had immense destructive power, especially when combined with his ninth soul skill. It could even destroy a city. This skill consumed a great deal of soul power, and Dugubo wouldn't use it unless absolutely necessary. The emerald orb reached the true form of the sacred dragon. Dugubo's eyes shone with emerald light.
Emerge.
The green light spread, turning the golden dragon entirely green, transforming it into an emerald dragon. With a trail of green afterimages, Dugubo approached the emerald dragon. His face was slightly pale, but he felt relieved. Fortunately, this was a pseudo-golden sacred dragon. If it had been a true golden sacred dragon, his time freeze might not have restrained it. He carefully retrieved the emerald orb, placing it back in his mouth. His left hand pressed on the dragon's head, emerald light in his eyes, his left hand turning completely green. With a loud cry, a break. A crisp shattering sound echoed in the night. The emerald dragon began to crack from the head down. In a moment, it shattered completely. Dugubo returned to his mountain perch. His eighth soul ring's glow retracted. Resume. The frozen space returned to normal, but the shattered dragon form could not advance. It shattered into countless pieces, scattering in all directions, its power gone. The Master, Flender, and Lu Erlong stood there, blood at the corners of their mouths. Their fusion skill had exhausted their soul power. Yet Dugubo remained unchallenged. Title Doluo were truly unmatched. They had lost. Dugubo's eyes showed a rare hint of normal human emotion as he looked at the weakened but defiant golden iron triangle. You're impressive. Even with such soul power, you caused me trouble. This fusion skill is the best I've seen. Soul Doluo wouldn't be your match. Dugubo rarely praised anyone, but the golden iron triangle's fusion skill left a deep impression on him. The master replied calmly, So what? You still won. Do it. He held Lu Erlong's hand and closed his eyes. Tang San's death had been a heavy blow to the master. Seeing their true form shattered, they knew survival was unlikely. Their most powerful fusion skill hadn't harmed the titled Doluo. Now, the master had no reservations. Holding his beloved's hand, his heart was calm. A dying isn't easy? Green light flashed, and Dugubo appeared before them. Wait. The master opened his eyes, as if he remembered something. Dugubo, Tang San is my disciple. This has nothing to do with them. Let them go, and you can take my life. Dugubo sneered, Do you think you can negotiate with me?